But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
What happens when the biggest star in your league gets hurt and nobody seems to care? Stephen A. Smith isn't just mad. He's furious. And this time, he's not just ranting. He's exposing a league-wide failure that could cost the WNBA everything it's worked for.
We know what she brings to the table, but people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm, and they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then.
For months, Caitlin Clark has been the face of women's basketball. Not just a good player, the reason the arenas are packed and the cameras are rolling. She brought millions of new eyes to a league that desperately needed attention. And how did the WNBA thank her? They let her get shoved, hacked, and elbowed like a crash test dummy, night after night.
Guys, watch some of these plays on Caitlin Clark. Look at this. Look at this. See that? Physically grabbing her, applying.
Stephen A. didn't hold back. He called it out. Neglect. Pure and simple. A league with a golden goose that acted like they found a regular bird. Instead of protecting their biggest asset, they let jealousy and politics guide their choices. And now that Clark is injured, the house of cards is crashing fast. Subscribe now if you're done watching the league protect feelings over facts, because the numbers don't lie, and neither do we.
She's white. And because of that, when you consider some of the hard times other people gave her, they were resentful of the fact that this white girl came on the scene where there was a bunch of sisters that preceded her spanning decades that were big time that deserved a lot of credit.
But here's what really made Stephen A. lose it. The silence, the shoulder shrugs, the league pretending everything's fine while their one true superstar is on the sideline. Sponsors backing out, viewers dropping off a cliff. Entire arenas now have empty rows that were packed when Clark played. And yet, players like Angel Reese still think they're the reason people are watching. It's delusional. Clark wasn't just bringing fans, she was building the brand. But instead of celebrating her, they resented her because she made everyone else look ordinary.
And by the way, she came in there and looked out for everybody else. For 22 years, they couldn't get chartered flights.
Stephen A. flat out said it. Grow up. You had chartered flights because of her. Sold out games because of her. Ratings through the roof because of her. But some players couldn't see the bigger picture. They just saw a spotlight they weren't in, and they hated it. And let's be real, this isn't just about basketball. It's about the WNBA being afraid of what Clark represents. A white superstar coming in and shaking up a league that's been begging for relevance for decades. Instead of riding that wave, they tried to fight it. And now, they're drowning.
Let's call it what it is. I am not trying to say that she should be criticized or she is wrong. What I'm saying is by pulling it down, clearly you felt there was something wrong with it. Now, yes, you are 22. Yes, you are young. And there's a lot of things that we didn't want people to know about when we were her age.
Because Stephen A. didn't just point fingers. He came with receipts, ticket sales, TV ratings, merchandise numbers. All of it proved one thing. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She is the WNBA. And her absence? It's not a bump in the road. It's a 5-alarm fire. And what happened next would shock everyone. Caitlin Clark goes down with a quad strain, and just like that, the WNBA starts to crumble. Not in a month, not next season. Immediately, one injury, and the entire foundation starts shaking like it was built on sand. You'd think the league would hit panic mode, but no. They're pretending it's business as usual, acting like losing their top attraction is just a small bump in the road. Stephen A. Smith isn't pretending. He's calling it what it is, a disaster in slow motion.
Of her putting heat packs on her leg. There is new footage of her heating up her quad when she's playing. And by the way, people have been at games. I've been getting, if you look, like my comment section, I don't read my comment section that much, I'm going to be honest, but some of the times where I have read my comment section, people have genuinely been like, I'm at the game, Caitlin Clark does not look right on the side.
Let's not sugarcoat this. When Clark plays, it's a show. When she's gone, it's a ghost town. Period. Games that were drawing 2 million viewers are now struggling to break 300,000. That's not just a decline, that's a collapse. And it didn't take months, it happened in days. Without Clark on the floor, the WNBA is learning a brutal truth. She's not a luxury. She's the engine. Look at the ticket sales. Teams were moving games to bigger arenas when Indiana was on the schedule. Why? Because fans weren't coming to see the Sky. They weren't showing up for the Mystics. They were coming to see Caitlin Clark. And now that she's out, entire stadium sections are unsold. Ticket prices slashed in half. Some games are practically giving them away. That's not a coincidence. It's a reality check. Stephen A. laid it out in brutal detail. Without Clark, this league doesn't just look smaller. It feels irrelevant. And that's a direct result of leadership that took her impact for granted. Instead of building around her, they ignored the obvious. They had lightning in a bottle, and they left the cap off. And the worst part? This injury didn't come out of nowhere. Anyone who's been watching saw it coming. Clark's been taking punishment game after game, shoved, elbowed, knocked to the floor. And what did the league do? Nothing. No statement, no protection, no accountability. Just let it happen, over and over, until her body finally said, enough. Let's get real here. You don't treat your top attraction like a rookie who should be thankful for the opportunity. You protect your stars. You prioritize them. You make sure the player who's dragging your entire league into the national spotlight isn't getting tossed around like she's invisible. But the WNBA didn't do that. They sat back, let her take the hits, and now they're shocked she's out. That's not bad luck. That's negligence. And don't think fans haven't noticed. Social media is full of people saying they're done watching until Clark returns. Sponsors? Quiet. Networks? Nervous. You can feel the tension in the air because everyone knows what's coming. A ratings nosedive. One that will prove, once and for all, who really makes this league move. And here's the irony. The WNBA had everything it needed. A generational talent, national headlines, sold-out arenas, and the best viewership numbers in league history. But instead of protecting the spark that lit the fire, they smothered it. With silence, with jealousy, with excuses. And now they're left with an ugly truth. Clark was the show. And without her, the curtain's coming down. You don't have to guess how important Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA. The numbers spell it out, and they don't lie. She didn't just boost the league, she transformed it. Before she stepped on a WNBA court, most games flew under the radar. Now, every Fever game is a main event. Sold-out crowds, exploding viewership, headlines every week. It's not hype, it's proof. Let's break it down. Indiana Fever home games, averaging over 17,000 fans per night, more than triple last year. For different cities moved their games to larger arenas just to handle the demand when Clark was coming to town. That's not normal, that's superstar power. And she did it without a single playoff win. Imagine that. TV ratings? A different universe. With Clark on the court, games pulled over 1.1 million viewers. Without her, that number dropped to 394,000. That's a gut punch. A 3 times difference, gone, the moment she sits. It's not a dip, it's a cliff dive. And yet, some people still act like she's just another rookie. Please. And merch? Don't even get started. WNBA jersey sales skyrocketed the moment her name was on the back. Fanatics reported a 100% spike in WNBA gear, and it all started the day Clark's jerseys went live. Let's be honest, no one was crashing the site to buy a Chicago Sky hoodie. Stephen A. laid it out clearly. She's the box office, the needle mover, the reason why the league finally had sponsors calling and broadcasters actually caring. But instead of giving her the keys, the WNBA parked her in the garage and pretended she wasn't driving the whole thing forward. And here's the part that makes it worse. These numbers didn't sneak up on anyone. They were public, obvious, in plain sight. The whole league had every reason to treat Clark like a once-in-a-lifetime gift. But jealousy, ego, and bad decisions got in the way. So instead of celebrating her impact, they downplayed it, hoping the numbers would lie. But they didn't. They shouted the truth. Clark was building something massive, something rare. And now that she's out, everyone's scrambling to cover the cracks she was holding together by herself. Let's talk about jealousy disguised as pride, because Stephen A. Smith just ripped the mask off. Instead of lifting up the one player who's saving the league, some veterans are busy throwing shade like it's their full-time job. Angel Reese and Cheryl Swoops? Yeah, Stephen A. didn't hold back. He called them out directly for what it really is, resentment. Not strategy, not critique, resentment. Swoops, a WNBA legend, took the low road, questioned Clark's records, dismissed her success, said it didn't count because of extra games. Really? That's what we're doing now? Moving goalposts because someone came along and shattered expectations? If Clark broke the record in 4 years instead of 3, who cares? She still broke it. But when the spotlight isn't on them, they start rewriting the rules. And Angel Reese? She's not even subtle about it. Every time the cameras are on Clark, Reese finds a way to make it about herself. The attitude, the interviews, the side comments. It's not competition, it's pettiness. You can't scream about growing the game while tearing down the one player actually doing it. Stephen A. made it clear, this isn't about basketball, it's about ego. Players who've been grinding for years suddenly feel overlooked. And instead of embracing the moment, they're acting like Clark stole something from them. But she didn't. She earned it. On the court. With results. With fans. With real numbers, not noise. Here's the truth they don't want to admit. Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation player. She didn't ask for the attention. She earned it by changing the way people watch women's basketball. But instead of protecting her, the league stood by while veterans tore her down. Out of fear. Out of pride. Out of pure insecurity. Stephen A. called it a grow-up moment. And he's right. You don't get to cry about the spotlight when you refuse to shine under it. Instead of side-eyeing Clark from the bench or Instagram, maybe try matching her impact. But that takes work. Not interviews, not bitterness, work. But that wasn't the whole story. Here's what nobody wants to admit. The biggest failure in this entire Caitlin Clark saga isn't coming from the players. It's coming from the top. Stephen A. Smith didn't just call out jealousy on the court. He aimed his frustration directly at WNBA leadership, especially Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, and he didn't pull any punches. According to him, the league has fumbled every major opportunity they had with Caitlin Clark. And honestly, he's right. Let's start with the facts. Clark is the biggest draw in women's basketball ever. Her games break viewership records. Her presence alone spikes attendance across the league. Her jersey? Flying off shelves. And what does the WNBA do? Release generic press statements like they're scared to admit she matters more than the rest. While sponsors were lining up, Engelbert gave us corporate fluff. While broadcasters begged for Clark's games, the league acted like it was just another season. She's a generational star, and they promoted her like she was a background player. That's not humility, that's incompetence. Stephen A. said it best. It's like finding a genie in a bottle and wishing for a slightly bigger bottle. The WNBA had lightning in its hand, but instead of protecting it, they tried to act like it wasn't even there. And why? Because acknowledging Clark's impact would have forced the league to face an uncomfortable truth that one player was carrying the brand. And instead of leaning into that moment, Engelbert and company tried to balance the spotlight. Newsflash, balance doesn't sell tickets. Stars do. What makes it worse is how calculated the silence feels. The league saw the ratings. They saw the sold-out crowds. They saw the social media firestorm. And still, they acted like this was just business as usual. No big campaign. No full-court press. No bold marketing move, just business suits pretending they knew better than the numbers. That kind of leadership doesn't elevate a league, it buries it. And now, with Clark sidelined, they're scrambling to pretend everything's fine. But fans see through it, sponsors see through it, Stephen A. sees through it. The truth is, Clark made the league relevant again, and leadership completely dropped the ball. Here's the truth that nobody in the league office wants to admit. Caitlin Clark's injury didn't have to happen. And Stephen A. Smith isn't just saying it was unfortunate. He's saying it was avoidable, and the WNBA should have seen it coming a mile away. From the moment Clark stepped on the court, she became a target. Night after night, she was getting shoved, elbowed, body-checked, and the refs looked the other way. No protection, no flagrant fouls, no real consequences, just silence. And now that she's sidelined, suddenly, the league wants to act surprised? Stephen A. said it loud, this wasn't an accident. It was a slow-motion disaster that the WNBA chose to ignore. They had the most valuable player in the league getting treated like a practice dummy, and they let it happen. Why? Because they were afraid to look biased, afraid to admit that one player mattered more than the rest. So instead, they stood by and watched the league's golden ticket get beat down like she didn't matter. And this isn't just about one injury, it's about neglect. Imagine if the NBA let LeBron James or Steph Curry take this kind of abuse with no whistle. Heads would roll. The commissioner would be on the phone mid-game. But in the WNBA, they shrugged, called it competitive play, as if being hammered to the floor every night is part of the job. Let's be real, Clark wasn't just getting fouled, she was getting targeted. And it wasn't subtle. Players were bumping her after plays, talking trash, sending messages with every hit. And what did the league do? Nothing. No statements, no increased oversight, no protection, just a green light for the chaos to continue. Now she's out. And the WNBA's most marketable, talked about, game-changing star is watching from the bench with a quad injury that never should have happened. Stephen A. is right, this isn't bad luck. This is malpractice. The league let emotion cloud their judgment. They let envy run the court. And in doing so, they gambled with the one player who was putting the entire WNBA back on the map. You want to know how much Caitlin Clark really matters? Just look at what happened the moment she went down. The arena's emptied, the ticket prices tanked, and fans across the country flat out said they're done watching until she comes back. That's not a coincidence. That's proof. Before the injury, people were lining up outside arenas just to get a glimpse. Tickets were going for hundreds. Games were moved to bigger venues. Now, entire sections are empty. Listings are popping up for half the price, or worse, being given away. And the only thing missing is Clark. That tells you everything. This isn't a minor dip in interest, it's a total collapse in demand. Games that were once sold out weeks in advance are struggling to fill 60% of the seats. Sponsors are quiet. Broadcasters? Nervous. Even the merch tables are slowing down. The WNBA went from sold-out hype to who's playing again in days. And the fans? They're not hiding how they feel. Social media is flooded with posts saying they're boycotting games until Caitlin's back. Some are canceling subscriptions. Others are openly blaming the league for letting this happen. These aren't casual followers. These are the same people who bought tickets, jerseys, and boosted the league into the national spotlight, and now they're walking away. Stephen A. warned them. He said if anything ever happened to Clark, the league would feel it immediately. And now they're learning the hard way. This wasn't just another player getting hurt. This was the main event getting canceled mid-show. And without her, the league feels flat, quiet, and forgettable. Let's stop pretending. This isn't just about basketball. The resentment Caitlin Clark is facing? It runs deeper, racial, political, and personal. And Stephen A. Smith didn't dance around it. He exposed it head-on. From the moment Clark entered the league, the whispers started. Not about her skill, not about her stats, but about her identity. A young white girl stepping into a league full of veteran players who'd been grinding for years, yet never got the spotlight she did in just a few months. And instead of recognizing the moment, some chose to resent it. The uncomfortable truth? Some players aren't mad at Clark, they're mad at what she represents. To them, she's not just another rookie. She's a symbol of attention they think was stolen. That if she looked different, talked different, played at a different school, she wouldn't be the face of the league. But here's the thing, she earned every ounce of it. Stephen A. made it clear, this isn't about race on the surface. It's about how race and image shape the business. And Clark's image sells. That's not her fault. That's how the system works. But instead of working with that momentum, some veterans decided to drag her down. Not because she did anything wrong, but because she didn't fit their idea of what success in the WNBA is supposed to look like. We saw it in interviews, in side comments, in passive-aggressive tweets. All this bitterness wrapped in fake smiles and forced welcome to the league moment. Clark wasn't walking into support, she was walking into hostility masked as competition. And here's the most revealing part, they're not mad about her game. They're mad about the reaction to her game, the ratings, the media love, the endorsement deals. But guess what? None of that showed up by accident. She created buzz by doing something the league desperately needed, getting people to care again. Instead of thanking her, they're fighting her. Instead of protecting the brand she helped build, they're taking shots at it. And when race and politics start to mix with that resentment, it stops being about basketball and starts being about bitterness. Here's the bottom line. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the WNBA story. She is the story. She's the ratings. She's the sold-out crowds. She's the reason casual fans are paying attention for the first time in years. And if the league doesn't protect that, if they keep playing politics, staying silent, or letting jealousy set the tone, then everything she built, gone. Stephen A. wasn't guessing. He laid it out with facts, fire, and brutal honesty. This league had its moment. It had a chance to finally matter in the mainstream, and that chance was spelled CLARK. But instead of building around her, they hesitated. They tried to balance the spotlight, and in doing so, they nearly snuffed it out. This isn't about favoritism, it's about business. You don't sideline the player who fills every seat, sells every jersey, and breaks every viewership record. You build the league around her. You market her. You protect her. Because if you don't, you're not just risking a player, you're risking the league. Clark was the bridge between women's basketball and the mainstream. And right now, that bridge is cracked. One more wrong step, and it all collapses. Fans are already tuning out. Sponsors are getting quiet. The league's window is closing, and fast. So the question isn't if Caitlin Clark is the future. The question is, does the WNBA have the guts to admit it? Or will they keep playing the same tired game and watch the best thing that ever happened to them walk away? Because make no mistake, Clark doesn't need the league. But the league? It cannot survive without her.